So,
Before we start too far, I meant to do this last session. If it'll work.
oh no.
Knowledge on kobolds, that's dungeoneering? Or is that...
Shoot, hold on. I believe it's just nature. I'll tell you in just a sec. Oh, look, I opened right to kobolds. And then I flipped the page.
Oh,
Oh my,
oh my
nat
god.
20.
I sure hope
I guess it doesn't matter what
Lord
it
knows
is.
everything about kobolds.
They're actually
Kobolds in college.
a nature check.
Nice. Basically, I was just trying to discern what their favorite foods are and try to, conjure up a meal to impress our new soldiers. Become their sort of...
Well, they are carnivorous since they're tiny dragons.
Tiny dragon.
So anything meat related they would be happy with.
I'm gonna do my best effort to conjure up a whole bunch of food and a feast of various meats. It's gonna be like a meat lover supreme.
Don't you have just a bunch of weird meats and bones and meat on bones just hanging out in your pockets?
I wish, but I compiled them all together to form Kovan.
Speaking of which, during your downtime that was skipped over last session, Dorn, you broke down all your magical stuff that you were gifted by Cormon, who broke a bunch of magical shit within the tower. You have 1,000 residuum.
Oh, nice. Fist bump. And I'm gonna
Yeah,
break
dude.
my wrist.
Like that weird finger hand that was trying to grab me.
That was a good chunk of it.
Fingertip.
That was funny as shit.
Alright, so last session, we just kind of rounded out the tower. You guys met with the Naga, had a brief and friendly conversation with her, found out there's a very powerful magic item sitting at the top of the tower that none of you have been able to discern. The elves had summoned her through to protect it, and so far the orcs have not really bothered to try to get to her. You guys assume this is probably because they did an aerial assault and haven't really pushed into the cold. You guys also realized that Wallace was missing, and we'll touch on that in a minute. But the final part of your agreement with the Naga was a pact to take her small army of kobolds for your own. And as such, you guys now have a small kobold army of about 50 kobolds.
And I'm the leader, right? Because I tried to kill one by throwing it into the ceiling. All of them like the leader.
The kobolds were quickly run through a training montage regiment run by Cormon and Dorn.
Straight out of Rocky 3.
Exactly.
Hell yeah. You were even conjuring music to it with it.
And so they, while they're still level 1, they are ready for some fighting.
You forgot to mention the squad leader.
Yes, and then Dorn released and struck an intimidating deal with Elrod's now magically induced evil Pinky to lead the squad of kobolds.
So that's for real? I thought Wallace was fucking with me. What the fuck, man?
No, it's a real thing. He goes way back.
Oh boy.
Magic Pinky.
I think my favorite part was the intimidation check for that because A, I rolled really high, and B, the threat was, if you don't listen to me, you're going back on Elrod's finger and nobody...
That's what hurt the most.
So, while all that was going on, Wallace snuck off to the hot springs, half drunk, and was disturbed by a small reverie of crows that kind of seemed to appear into the sky out of nowhere and then flew towards the main diplomatic building in the center of the town that still partially stood. Upon investigating, he came across a building shrouded in darkness and with an eerie, deathly chill about it. As he continued to kind of peek his way forward, he eventually came across a starkly pale, black-haired woman with a pair of crows on her shoulders and a large catoblas feasting on who knows what within the building.
What the fuck is a kettle blast?
Oh, yes, that is this. I'll show you.
It looked like he lied to me.
I'm sorry, it's a catoblapas. Why does that have the wrong icon?
What's a catoblepus?
Catoblepas.
Catoblepas.
Yes.
I like that
Gesundheit.
pronunciation the best.
That's the actual pronunciation.
Catoblepas.
Catoblepas?
Awesome, I didn't know that. It's that thing.
Gesundheit. Oh, what the
Catoblepas.
Oh, hello.
Hello,
Make it go
Blue.
away.
Hello.
D-hands.
So, she revealed herself to be the Raven Queen, or at least an avatar of the Raven Queen, for all you guys seem to know, who was in search of her champion who had fallen here in Emberwood. Of course, Wallace, in his particular faith, praising only the one mighty Taya, didn't believe any of this, and proceeded to flirt with her. Hi, you want to help with the introduction? Can you say hi?
That Raven Queen doesn't sound that intimidating.
Doesn't scare me at all.
Bye-bye. No, go sit with Mommy. Anyways, Elrod and Bretta and Firebeard eventually found their way over there by following the trail of death that seemed to be lingering outside the building. And they were quick to tell Wallace to calm down with his flirting. And that led him to cry just like this.
Elrod, that is literally death herself or something.
Yeah. And as such,
She's already dating Dorn.
No.
exchanges were had and small questions were asked as a favor for their kindness and their help in aiding her former champion known as Arkin. Your toys are over there, sweetie.
Elrod is really confused.
The other thing that I skipped over was the magical item at the top of the tower seemed to show each of the people within the group that was there something they just seemed to either desire most or something from their past that they miss dearly. And everybody knows what they saw. Corvan, you just saw yourself with more.
I saw myself? Is that
You saw yourself with ladies and more glory and more rings and more fame and glory.
Wait, are you telling me that Koromon could have a ring on each finger?
Yes.
You about to get them bitches.
Yeah, you ever seen the movie, The Mac? The scene out of The Mac, 1978.
1978.
Oh, 1973. God damn it, I guessed.
How old?
So that brings us here where you guys had the training session in Kovan's healing tent, and eventually you guys headed out after another rest to head out into the night to travel by the safety of the stars, which is a little weird considering you're fighting orcs who use the stars for power, but that's what you guys have been doing. And eventually, as the sun started to rise, you guys came across this small, abandoned house close to the outskirts of the city, which had a tent pitched over part of the ruins, and sitting next to a bonfire was a reddish figure with slightly pointed ears, books, a staff laying in the snow, and a small backpack. Figure had his back to you. He's got blackish hair, and despite his skin coloring, he looks more like Elrod than he does any of the other reddish humanoids you guys have come across since your time here on Emberwood.
So looks like Elrod, not Koromon.
Yes.
Got
Also, his picture is cute.
it.
You-
One thinky boy.
You guys were hesitant as you noticed him upon your approach, and generally concerned with the fact that he looked both elvish or orcish from a distance. But he was red in color. And that's where we pick up. To you guys.
Wow, this is awkward.
Dorn isn't paying any attention to what's ahead of him. He's interacting with kobolds and talking about glory and how we're gonna get all the bitches.
All the shiny.
All the bitches?
First the glory, then the bitches.
Wallace is whispering to Bretta, so he's not paying attention either.
Oh, Elzo's ready for all those. Elzo brings blue. They love blue.
Everyone.
No.
Yeah.
Blue. Oh, yeah?
Not alone. I'll point to the figure ahead of us.
Of course, we're not alone. We've got an army of kobolds.
Not that.
Okay. For perception. Do I notice them?
Those are.
No, it's Arcana. No, you do not notice them. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Yes, you just you're sitting there. Your arcane senses, your wonderful little feet, picks up on
Sorcerer's vision!
an approaching growth of a magical presence coming up from behind you.
What the hell is that? I slowly started approaching around the wall. If you notice, I'm not Rix. What? I don't want to fight you natives. What are you doing here?
Elrod, I think that's all you.
Yeah, you go over talk to the Cha.
Wait,
Boy,
you
great.
read?
I love playing the diplomat.
Oh my God, Mona has a mic. Is there anybody that I didn't put on the screen? I think you're all there.
I think we're here.
Yeah, we all.
You guys are approached as this orcish figure rounds the corner. He's got, again, slightly pointed ears. He doesn't stand quite as tall as the red orcs you guys have come across, and he's nowhere near as built as your typical orc. In fact, he looks lanky, kind of lithe. More of a... He's got a build to him. That's much as evidence even under the kind of shaggy, ruined robes that he wears.
Rita, is that an orangutan?
I don't know.
We I didn't expect him to talk to us.
What? Well, spread it out. What are you doing here, fumbling about in these ruins like a flock of starving buzzards?
Yes, what are you doing here?
What? Where do you think I came from? Fucking the stupid settlement to the south is a hellscape. Needed to get out of there as quickly as I could.
You
Oh?
You deserted the south.
South deserted me. They had nothing. They wanted nothing to do with me.
Oh, really?
Would
First,
you care to share your story with us? Ilith steps forward. I do love stories so much.
well, I don't want whole story
Alright.
right now.
Alright, roll arcane for me.
Sure. Yeah, it's not for me.
Dorn can as well. And Wallace. If you choose to.
I was about to say, with how my character is at the moment, I would say he would probably get a passive roll, but there's not really a passive arcane.
It's just 10 plus your modifier for anything passive. So whatever your modifier is plus 10.
Let me check, 'cause I sure as hell don't remember.
It's a good thing I have water.
B19.
19? Okay, even you can pick up on this. There's a very innate, powerful sense of magic just coming from directly within this orc. He is
Orc?
capable of
Paying
magic.
attention at all?
He wasn't. He was actually facing facing back here with his buddies.
He's actually looking like his token for once. So, Dorn, in your case, you feel a
Oh,
new
it's just you two?
magical presence.
Huh. Okay, so that at least would get his attention. We would actually approach.
Oh my god,
Over
he's
here.
blind.
If he was, probably using that orc, Karama will want to fight him. Maybe some arm wrestle.
Yeah, I was waiting for a moment to challenge the guy to a customary arm wrestling contest, as is tradition.
Do it.
But you know, he's a little far away. I was gonna let him like approach us and initiate and whatnot.
Don't worry, that's just whispering to you.
I'm just gonna stand next to Aelith with my arms crossed, looking kind of like intimidating and slightly nonplussed.
Okay. Look, Vic, as you kind of look over this group, they seem to, despite your initial reaction of calling them natives, they seem to be more of a ragtag group of people. There's a tall, burly very well muscled, rather intimidating looking Goliath man who's wearing very minimal in the way of clothing. There's
The wind's picking up.
a pair of elvish looking figures next to him, one clearly more female than the other.
There's a couple of children in the back.
Gee, I wonder which one is Elrod.
So pretty.
Behind them, you kind of pick up on a dwarf with a parrot on his shoulder, a pair of humans, and two very much smaller beings that, as you just said, you probably mistake them for children. And the most peculiar thing within this ragtag group of people, especially considering the alliances that your people have had, is that there's a drow among them.
Wait, what kind of allegiances did we have?
Oh, you've been gone. No, you were there. Rick's almost died. The drow.
They were fighting them.
Yeah.
They're allied with the drow. You guys fought the drow on the.
Also, yeah. I
You-
thought the drow were just against everything.
Nah, you remember.
No,
Come on,
they're
man.
they're allied with them.
Oh.
The true character would know.
Yeah, I know that.
Eh.
Send half pint over to sniff him.
Okay, you watch as this tiny, ethereal, arcane empowered wiener dog comes shuffling as best as he can, like sprinting through the thick snow. It's more like a little head poking out submarine style through the snow.
Hold on. Wait, hold on.
Well, if you're not interested in fighting, we're certainly interested in talking.
Yes, talking is always preferable.
Can Half-Light be killed?
But not
Yes.
Wait, you can kill him as much as you want. I'll just bring him back.
He's a red orc. Why are we even listening to this? Let's kill him.
Because I need to do
He
this.
deserted them. He might have
So?
valuable information.
Oh,
Well, doesn't he look a little
Okay.
different than the other?
Yes, he's very obviously not full-blooded orc.
it doesn't work. What the hell is this dog? Get away from me!
So as Half-Pint comes like burrowing through the snow towards you, you see the orc just suddenly throw his hands out. Very unpracticed, I should mention. Just a. You watch this like
God, his aim is just as bad now.
you
as it
watch
was
as
right
this like arcane sigil made out of constellations appears before Half-Pint and it just kind of dissipates without doing anything.
As soon as Elrod sees the sigil, he draws his weapon and gets between him and Aelith. Then sees he was aiming for the dog, but Elrod didn't notice.
Oh, hey, look. He attacked.
Why are you attacking my dog? He was just saying hello.
What
Yeah,
dog?
why don't you come up here in rage and like shoot a shadow bolt at him or something?
Yeah.
I haven't seen out of this. What is this weird? God, there's you with children in the back. There's a freaking drow. What? What is? Where are y'all from? You didn't even introduce yourselves. Who are you?
I think you met with the wrong halfling there.
And
I
his
feel like-
wiener.
Everyone
Because we
here
have a
needs to
horrible
just calm
temper.
down.
Yes.
Wait, did he say children?
Yes, he called you a child.
Oh no.
We are
Going to get closer just right beside
we're
your road.
adventurers, and we're here on our own business, and we have dealings that involve the settlement to the south. If you are not their friend, we may have words to exchange.
Or you get javelin through the chest for hitting my dog. Either way, it's your choice.
Well, what kind of dealings do you have with them?
Elrod, that was a lot of syllables in those articulate words you just said to an orc. You want me to try to translate? Friend or foe? Next move is yours.
I'm not an orc like those damn bastards down in the south.
Says the bastard.
They don't know that.
Well,
Aelith, explain this to me. The orc says he's not an orc.
I'm sure you can understand why we can't tell you everything, but we have interests that would bring about the demise.
Aelith is just gonna tap the points on her ears.
Yeah, but I mean, you're like the expert at like not being what you look like, so you know.
Exactly.
Explain.
I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I am a damned half-orc, and I very well know that after what I've been through down there.
See, exactly.
You mean like from the waist up?
Walls falls in the snow. Laugh.
No.
Go along.
I beg your pardon. What?
He's still an orc where it counts.
I feel like something's going over my head.
He's a half-orc.
I mean, he's
Yes, I got
pretty
that
tall.
part.
It might be over your head. But,
What do they say?
I beg your pardon.
I didn't-
What? I am only partly orc. What is so difficult to understand?
That's not the part I'm not understanding.
so
By
I
the
mean,
way,
do we partially kill him? I mean, fight him? What do we do here?
no. Ideally,
Well-
we can have a chat with him.
Yes, that's
All
what
right,
I was
well-
hoping we could do.
I'm gonna go sit by his fire because
It's cold.
this sounds good.
All right, the stars are out right now. It's no time to fight.
What the fuck does that mean?
Great.
Why can't?
He's so out of touch with his own culture.
I thought that. Okay.
Hey, what are you doing down there in my camp?
Sitting by the fire? You owe me for trying to attack my dog.
All right,
May we
everyone,
sit
come
by the fire?
come over to the camp.
It's either that
Excellent.
or I take a whiz on it and you don't have a fire no more.
Can we not do that?
There, how diplomatic of you, Wallace.
Elrod, he looks like he's inviting us and is friendly. What's up with this? I don't understand.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
What's your name, funny looking fella?
My name.
Please don't
My
call
name
us
is
that.
Lothric.
I'm not going to be able to pronounce that.
Oh, I know.
Slim.
Lothric.
That's
Am I saying it right?
What? Buttlick?
Ah.
What is your fucking name?
No. Coromon.
Lockback.
Gods.
No, but now it's your turn for your names.
I mean, surely you've heard of me. My reputation precedes me everywhere.
I've heard of any of you.
Go ahead, Elrod. Tell them who I am.
Am I supposed to have heard of that dog or that parrot?
No. Are you kidding me? Are they this big with the biceps and the deltoids? And Elrod,
And
go
the-
on. Tell this guy who I am.
Oroman.
And the world championship belt.
Don't forget my middle name and my title and my last name. We covered this.
Koroman,
He's Coromon.
the biggest, strongest man ever. And then there's me.
I believe I earned a title, Dragon Fister.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yes,
We're not actually
Coromon,
calling you that, are we?
Dragon Fister.
I guess we are. Okay. Yes, he's Coromon Dragon Fister.
Mm-hmm.
This is Aelith. I am Elrod.
My name is Peter Tickle Pickle.
There it is.
No, it isn't.
What an interesting
Hey,
name.
I want a bluff. Give me my chance.
Roland's insight.
Well,
You don't have to.
actually, no, it is larger if I just because it's currently in stars, so I'm +2 on that.
Okay. That's the other thing you guys kind of notice is within his. Oh, well, the halfling is
No, it
clearly
isn't. What are you doing?
made that up. But the other thing to take note of is that this orc, and the way he is now, you see little hints of constellations. Not quite like the ones you guys have fought, where they look more like tattoos. But these are just kind of faintly flickering against his skin, and then within his hair, he has little white specks that shimmer like stars.
Stars about me. Well, you said you had dealings with the South. Are you there to take out the chieftain?
Yes. We're looking to take the head off the snake.
Well, so you wish to kill my father.
What?
I see we have similar goals.
Your father is the Great Red Orc.
Yes, well, I see you can tell that I'm not an orc like him. But Well, there isn't quite a scoundrel story to that.
I see.
I guess I'm gonna have to pull this up. Didn't want to, but
Does he look more half elven now that we're up close to talking to him?
Yes.
me too.
It's what the hell?
Well, they didn't have a fist, so. Yes, the ears are pointed a lot like yours are, Elrod. Are the ones that Aelith is currently sporting.
Well then, I shall tell you the story of trouble I had. If you really wish, Levi, to know about him.
Ooh, I like stories.
Yes, well, there aren't as many pillages. My father, the chieftain, certainly acquired many female natives. At least they weren't honorably slaughtered on the battlefield.
Acquire. Ooh.
My mother wasn't one of those. That foolish elf wandered the settlement, bruised, visibly. She was distraught, she was grieving. And for some reason she was pleading for a truce. That fool. Now normally the clan, they would send couriers to return the wounded and non-combatants so as to not disgrace their names with a worthless kill. But for some reason my father took an interest in that particular one, when she imposed himself on her as he had done to countless other maidens. Who knows where that peace-loving elf wandered off to.
We see Elrod kind of grinding his teeth. Hey.
Elrod.
And this was from this particular ravage? Probably not.
Probably not. It's easy to discern. It's most likely not from this, because he's clearly
That was my mother.
of age.
No, but at the same time, I don't know if there's some crazy, like, Gul'dan magic going on here. Aging up orcs and stuff.
You don't know.
Hey, Dorn, get over here. I think this orc is Elrod's cousin.
Wait, Elrod has elven heritage?
You also don't know how long the orcs have actually been on Emberwood. You guys only have seen the progress of the recent months worth of the invasion. Recent few months worth of the invasion.
And have you been here your whole life? Or has
Been
your
in that,
father...
been in that settlement that whole time. Half-forked bastard was not what my father had in mind. He spat out my presence and my very existence and wanted no sight of me. Put me into servitude, disgraced me to grunt work, menial labor. For years I struggled against him. At first I worked hard on my labor, challenging and antagonizing the other slaves. They rarely could match my endurance. The absolute damnation of a half-orc in a proud old orcish settlement trapped me in a cycle of heckling and discrimination. That
And
only
now,
tightened my resolve when I discovered my connection to the celestial plane.
as you guys kind of have sat with him more and gotten a better look at him, you realize that his build is more of like, kind of like what Sora has, of Slaver's build.
I'm gonna go over there and
Slaves,
sit
you
next to him, put my arm around him, and be like, "I know how you feel, buddy. I know how it is to grow up in a community that isn't quite like you and doesn't quite accept you for who you are, and ostracizes and makes fun of you, and says little weakling, little squirt, and other nicknames you don't care to mention about you behind your back and into your face and punching you all the time. So I know it's like come on, man. Come here, come get together.
And he sort of shies away because no one has ever touched him in his life.
Oh no, he can't shy away from Cormon. Sorry, he's
There
gonna
you go.
take him right in. He's just gonna suck him right into the bear
Okay,
hug.
then he's gonna be
Yeah.
really awkward and not return the hug whatsoever.
Yeah,
Well,
Cormon doesn't
Right
know
in the
this.
pectorals. Do
Cormon
it.
doesn't- It's okay, though, man. I got you. I got you.
yes,
Ah,
a few among us do share a similar story, although not to that magnitude. As you can tell, me and my friend here are also of a similar... He just kind of blinks
Well-
and doesn't make a word.
hold on, do I need to an Arcana check to see if there are mages in this party?
You're well aware there's already magical uses in this party.
All right, then I should be really well aware that they know that I am also one.
Yeah, Dorn's over there emanating like an arcane god.
Funnily enough, the most powerful presence of magic actually seems to be coming from the halfling that walked off. Only because he's been kicking more ass than the other two magic users lately.
Pray tell.
I mean, he has one spell he's never missed with so far.
The minute that Wallace actually does 88 damage in one turn.
Wow, I think that beats my
Hey,
record.
I hit the Draclaw too with an ability that can't miss.
Yeah, I took a whole tower down by myself.
That's true.
I was joking, but it's more in a reference to that his power is from another
Wallace Tower
essence
Fister?
other than just the arcane. Wallace Tower Fister.
So what he hit with 88 damage? I think you earned a nickname or a middle name or a title called Tower Fister.
No, that was Doran, not me.
Oh, it's Dorn? Oh.
Oh my.
Dorn's the Tower Fister?
Okay.
Either way,
Well, I
sympathize
I can-
with this struggle.
well, I can tell you've got. I don't need sympathy now. It's too late for that. But I can tell you've got sorcerers in your party. Quite a few of them, actually. So you should already know that I'm not just a simple brawler. Cosmic sorcery was imbued into the blood of our clan, though only few. No?
No, it's quite quite known or quite skilled throughout the clan.
There are plenty of successful war mages who've doubtlessly fought on the battlefield. Those ones who summoned meteoric strikes on themselves or allies were quickly weeded out. But those sorcerers who trained their powers in the luxury of implements like star charts and the casting implements I don't even know what they use. I was relegated just to the stars above my head. I was still slave working in those pits. Right. While my father set on his campaigns, loudly proclaimed his triumph and pride.
Wallace. Are we the bad guys?
I see.
Yes, for a fucking story.
Yes, the tales of your father's inherent sorcery is part of the reason why we're hunting him. Our party represents a group hunting a council of six, so to speak. Has he ever... No. Elrod went to ask a question. Actually, you wouldn't have happened to have heard anything about that. A council of six great sorcerers in the orc camp during a time there.
I actually have to check something in my inventory. This doesn't mention it, right?
They
This
seek
letter.
to destroy and take over the world we call our home, and we are here to put a stop to that. If your vengeance is personal with your father, perhaps we could help each other.
What item? Or
Letter
Dan?
from Harrison LaFay.
yes, you stole it. It's a letter from a man who you don't know exactly who he is, but you have seen other powerful arcane users come in and out of the orcish city and citadel from time to time.
Are we the baddies?
That weren't orcs. They were humans, and at one point there was even a small child with them with red hair. And one female. Well, two females, I guess, if you count the child.
Brand and pledge loyalty to the king. Civilization. Right. Yeah, hold on, I'm just reading it again. Okay, well,
So is he like digging around his bag, or is he just like staring at Elrond after he has the question?
I was just saying something. Alright. Wait, what did he say?
So the question he basically asked, to summarize, the tales of your father's sorcery have been spread, and we are hunting a council of six great sorcerers that seek to the world, and our aim is to stop them. If your vendetta is personal against your father, perhaps we can help each other. Have you heard anything about this?
I don't know exactly of any council. I know that this orcish campaign is only one arm of a greater force, but I don't have much knowledge of it. I've only seen travelers coming in and out. I've seen fire standing, but I don't really know any of that. I grew tired of my father's expeditions, and I really want nothing to do with it.
Wait. Adventurous? You heard people coming into the orcish encampment?
Well, they weren't orcs.
That is strange.
Yes, he goes on to describe that there was 3 human males, and at one point, many, many months ago, a small, red-headed child, and another figure who appeared to be female but was wearing a cloak. Human. Or at least he assumes.
Right.
So wait, he explained that to me?
Yes,
Yes, that does match the description of a few of the members we've already dealt with. Then that does confirm the orc is, well, not many red orcs running around with sorcerer's powers. I see.
Time forest. Oh, I see. Okay, well, it seems you wish to slay my. Personally, I want to pound his head into the gravel and grind his limbs down one by one as he watches his precious army burn. I presume your goals are similar.
Indeed.
Sounds like an orc to me.
A bit more expressive than I was imagining, but it works.
Yes, I was thinking more cold steel than being done with it, but your way works too. And you're welcome to it.
I've got undo business with him.
What'd you say? Sorry.
I've got undue business with him.
Well, we could use a guide around the camp as we get closer. If you'd like a chance to deal with him yourself. I can have a word with my companions and we can see about you joining us.
I, for one, really like the idea. It would make things much easier.
He's got to arm wrestle me first.
We can get to that. I should probably inform Wallace and Dawn.
Okay, but Dorn's got to arm wrestle me too.
Well, I've certainly traveled around the camp a lot while I was sneaking around.
Well, get over. I'll be right back.
Come on, come over here, lay down, beat a table for us, arm wrestle. Come on.
Aelith?
What?
Hey, Kerman, you...
Aelith, do you mind coming to help me break the news?
Sure.
Thank you.
Oh shit, yeah. Hey, Kerman,
Wallace,
you
Dawn.
can like flex Thorn
Oh,
and
he-
the orc guy at the same time.
You're walking over.
Yeah, we're walking
Yeah.
over to you guys.
Did you say I can flex Dorn and the orc at the same time?
Yes.
I mean,
Like-
probably.
Is this like some sort of 2 orcs, 1 Dorn sort of situation that's going on here? I'm confused.
That's a video nobody wants to see.
No. No.
While Elrod and Aelith are running off to go play patty cake with Dorn, I'm gonna Kovan's already over here, so I'm gonna get on the other side of here and I'm gonna arm wrestle Pinky or McGee over here.
You're McGee.
Yeah, I don't know.
What?
It's lockpick or something. I don't fucking.
Wallace yells at Bria to come over.
What do I gotta roll? Strength?
Oh.
Strength rolls? Athletics? What do I do? And dungeoneering? Do I roll dungeoneering? Perception? What am I doing?
Wait,
Your
but I went
your
to
own
sit there and
intelligence.
flexing.
Yeah. Shit.
Athletics?
It's a 9 and it's
Uh.
so amazing.
If I want to roll athletics.
Bam!
I just-
Flash! That's okay. That was just a warm up. Take off your shirt and I'm gonna spray you with a little bit of oil. It helps me, it helps you. Get everybody get going. You get a +2 to roll. Let's do this. Come on.
I am not doing that.
Oh, come on, buddy. You got no choice. Let's do this. That's 2 out of 3. Let's do it. I have no idea where that dropped.
Go,
Yeah.
go.
Sorry, guys,
go,
I was
go, go,
answering some questions for the wife. You guys arm wrestling?
We're just
Arm wrestling.
they're just arm wrestling as Elrod and Aelith head over to tell Dorn and Wallace what's going on.
Okay.
Oh, I'm waiting for this.
See?
I've been at the
See?
slaves' mines long enough.
Yeah. See, the oil helped.
some of that
God,
orcish rage kicks in a little bit, and you watch as
Woohoo! We
Low.
got ourselves a challenger.
Lo actually manages to push Cormon's arm down.
All right, I like it. No more of this noodle arm Dorn action over here. Finally got a challenge. Fantastic. All right, let's do this. That's 2 out of 3. Aha!
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Come on,
I'm inspired. Ah!
let me see. What do you have to roll to beat that? A 20. You have to roll a nat 20.
Yeah, I have, it has to
Do the nat 20. Do the nat 20.
Let's see it.
Ah!
They're gonna
All
raise
right.
the Kovan table.
Ooh, that was close.
Yeah, Kovan's armor was definitely dented in a little bit after that last one.
Roll to break the bed. I mean the table.
So this last little bout between you guys actually goes back and forth for probably a minute before Cormon just finally, so inspired by this fight being put up by this magical orc, they just slams the fist into Kovan's armor, denting it.
Yeah! You're gonna have to explain to Kovan why he's got new dents in his armor.
I will.
I want to make a joke, but I don't want to.
Damn it, Kovan.
Is that guy gonna
No,
be
it
okay?
doesn't do any damage to Kovan.
Looks kind of flimsy.
Oh, that was amazing.
That's just a death. Go on.
Alright.
Alright.
Wait, did that not wear off? The rest sickness?
Oh no, it's not like in 5e where it's 3 days. It's 3 like milestones in 4.
Oh god.
We definitely need to talk.
Alright, Lugnut, you're good in my book. I'm gonna pick his arm up and kinda give him a little arm raisey celebratory thing, give a little pat on the back.
Yeah, that's all this is good enough for my father.
So, as Elrod, sorry, you guys haven't got anything else.
Just more machismo flowing out of every pore.
As Elrod,
I have a robe on.
Dorn, Wallace. So,
Elrod.
it appears this orc, half-orc, is an escapee from the southern encampment. He has valuable information of its layout, and is also apparently the Great Red Orc's son. He wants him dead. He's simply frothing at the bit at a chance to kill his father. He's simply useful.
Okay, so allow me to walk you through this entire scenario. We're in the middle of nowhere.
Correct.
We come across a red orc, whom we are at war with, who have destroyed everything in their path up till now,
I'm well aware.
and you want to take him in and become best friends.
No, not this time. His vendetta seems to be one of revenge. My vendetta is to protect the realm. We could at least make use of him for now.
And the minute that we step into his old stomping grounds and he starts raising alarms and all sorts of problems, then what?
Or just kind of pauses. Well, you're welcome to talk to him yourself.
I don't feel that we should even talk to him. I don't think that we should give him the time of day. I think that we should kill him and move on. Every single red orc that we've come across up to this point has immediately tried to kill us. There's been no talking. There's been no discussion about terms and why they're here and what's going on. They've tried to kill us, and they've burned everything in the path. Are you saying that this
That's-
one's magically different?
That's very narrow-minded and I might say a bit hypocritical thinking, Dawn.
Well, be that
Factual is what you're looking for.
Be that as it may, Dawn, you are correct. However, this is a half-orc from the slave pens.
I'm going to move up to Dorn and
bye-bye.
just sort of like I'm just gonna move to Dorn and just sort of like pull him away for a moment.
Just want to point out that he is standing next to a drow. Just, you know, throw that one out there.
That's one of the things I was gonna mention.
Yeah.
If you recall, he wasn't happy about that either.
Yeah.
Dorn ain't happy about nothing.
seems like a perfect time. Elra,
Oh no.
Oh my god.
It's gonna
What's up, woman?
pull Dorn away.
No, I just trust Aelith to handle it.
So you
Okay, I understand your problems with all of this. I understand entirely. In case you're forgetting, way back when you found me, I agreed with you that trusting me in the catacombs when you're surrounded by dead things that could very well have led you into a trap, I did agree that it was dumb to trust me.
Mm-hmm. I thought that you would be on board of all this. Sorry, I'm not laughing, character.
I understand entirely what you're saying. But if he is being honest, then this is a great asset to us that I don't feel we can afford to just waste. But I think that we could stand to have a contingency plan.
You have my attention.
Man, not going to last long.
Leave it up to the scheming drow.
We're literally all ready to fucking kill him the moment he looks at us wrong.
better hope they find Rix's soul stone in that place.
Yeah.
So, you're way better at this whole magic thing than I am. And you have more, I hesitate to say, knowledge than Elrod. Elrod has natural skill, but you definitely know more about what you're talking about, I feel.
I know a
So-
thing or two.
Hey, I have a higher int than him. No.
He does.
Yeah.
His wisdom's just shit.
Yes,
Dorn is
but if you combine Dorn's int with his spellcasting stat, it's higher.
Dornis is street smart, and Elrod's not. And
Nope. Wisdom like
Anyway.
12.
Do you have any sort of tricks in your book, bag, whatever it is you use exactly, that could be used as a contingency plan? Should he in fact turn on us? Some sort of escape route, even a retaliatory measure, perhaps.
Nothing like that. If he turns on us, my best spell is going to be just to incinerate him.
he's got a Koromon.
Well then,
I do have a Koromon.
Koromon. We have
Well,
an army.
We have a Koromon.
well then, if he does betray us, or perhaps would it count as betrayal if he was never on our side to begin with? I digress. Anyway, if something does go wrong, if something does go wrong, be ready to incinerate him. I'll have your back.
Oh, that's my secret, Aelith. I'm always ready to incinerate him.
Excellent. So, are you willing to go along with this crazy plan?
Fair enough.
Excellent.
I'll go along with it, but I don't like it.
I get the feeling that that's basically any plan that we ever have for you.
Usually.
Good talk.
Documented.
Ayla's gonna grab him by the wrist and pull him.
Wallace, were you saying something to Elrod while they were away?
Wallace coughs and looks at Rita. This seems like a great time. And he looks back at Rita, looks back at you. We felt bad the other night for trying to steal your stuff and mess with you. So we found a book that's made by two really smart people, and we think it'll help you on your journey. We know how you like to read.
Oh, it's not that big a deal. I was just tired. What?
Give him the book. Give him the book.
Oh yeah, you remember going to pull the book out, get closer to everyone, and give it to him. Here, I hope you enjoy. And yeah, we're sorry. Yeah,
It's alright. Here, thank you.
yeah, here it is.
He'll
Grab
pick
it.
up the book and inspect the title.
Is that what you guys sent me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eldritch Gone Wild.
So-
Definitive edition.
You get this.
Children gone wild.
You get what looks like this very hastily, crudely made and bound leather book that's only like 3 pages big. It's like a very small journal. And across the front, scribbled across in some kind of hasty writing, is the title: "How to Make Friends."
He just lifts, raises an eyebrow, and looks up at you two.
Oh, really? Yeah.
How to make friends.
So as you
yeah.
do, you open it?
I almost don't want to. Did you make this?
Oh,
Yeah, we. Yes.
Did you make
no.
What is it, fucking drawn in crayon?
Like cobbled together, like scribbled on the front. Thank you. He flicks it open and looks at it. What's inside, Mist?
So you open it, and the very first page is just this picture of a very poorly drawn elf. Actually, wait, hold on. Which one of you wrote the book, and which one of you drew pictures?
Oh, as wrote the book, I drew the pictures.
Okay, Bretta, roll dexterity for me. Well, if you do it too to see how neat you write. Actually, you know, you're a diplomat by trade, so don't worry about it. Oh, wow, Bretta's actually kind of an artist.
Okay.
You see this hand-drawn picture of what looks like Elrod holding the hand of another elf, and on the other side he's holding the hand of a halfling, and they all have smiles on their faces and little hearts between them. And then you turn to the second page, which is just one long scroll of text. And it looks like this. It says this: "Well, you embark in the most important adventure that can result in the salvation or destruction of your city, country, world, and you are guaranteed to find people that like you, or completely different. Always try to make friendly conversation with the people around you. This tactic won't probably work with undead or mean people. Caution, if a person has already tried to stab you a couple of times, probably he, she, or it doesn't want to be your friend. One form of making people feel comfortable around you is offering free food or beverages, but be prepared for drunk people. If you don't know how, look for How to Deal with the Drunk Adventurers for Dummies, aka Oh God, I'm the Adult Person Here, Please Help Me book, coming in the near future. P.S. As always, confirm if the person you are trying to befriend is not a mimic. You can do this by recognizing Mimics for Dummies, aka Why Is This Chest Winking at Me book. P.S. If it's actually a mimic but does want to be your friend, success. If not, run for your life, or try to loot it for treasure if you're into that sort of thing. So, you made a friend, now what? If you follow the past instructions, some people around you may start to like you, as a friend. Some words of encouragement after a tough fight or helping them with some quests can further cement the relationship. P.S. Actually trusting a person comes from a long way of hardships and fights together as against a common enemy. And on the very back page it shows a crudely drawn, or not a crudely drawn, a drawn mimic's chest with its tongue sticking out holding Elrod's hand. And a heart. And that's all that is to the book.
I appreciate it. Water under the bridge. He clearly doesn't quite know how to feel about this.
I didn't either when they sent it to me, don't worry.
He's both flattered, amused, and feels attacked.
That works with half-orcs too.
Complex field of emotion.
Out of character. It was supposed to be a How to Keep Your NPCs Alive for Dummies book, but it kind of got off track.
God, I need another drink. Just give me a second.
Oh
Thank
God,
you.
we broke Elrod. Oh no.
I appreciate the sentiment. He'll close the book and he'll put it in one of his just side pouches.
Yeah, you should put that in the library. It's really good.
Oh, hey,
Yeah.
Dawn. Dawn, you've got that. I'll go along with the plan, but I don't like it face.
Yep.
That's exactly what happened. I convinced you.
Does it? How?
You know me so well, Elrod. He's gonna walk kind of past the group and walk over to Zelzira. And what do you think of all this?
I'm just here for the ride, and trying not to upset any of you.
Well, I know, but I feel like I'm having deja vu. I said the same thing about you when you were wanting to help out and nobody listened to me, and now I said the same thing and nobody wants to listen to me. So this whole thing seems rather...
So, working as intended.
Well,
In fairness, Dawn, we are currently 2 for 2.
Sorry, Dawn.
I haven't really gotten to speak to him, but he seemed awfully upfront about his father.
But you see, this is a bad idea, right?
Oh, totally. Trusting me was a bad idea, but it just happened to work out in your favor.
Thank you.
Dawn, can I ask you a question?
You nailed it.
Yes, Wallace.
It was a bad idea.
What happened to his fire? It just kind of disappeared.
Who's
Did you
fire?
piss on the fire?
His campfire over there?
Yeah, his campfire's going. Or it is on my screen.
It's still there on mine.
It's still mine.
It's down here.
It might be because it's a partial space, and depending on the size of your screen, partial spaces might disappear.
There, I moved it.
Well, the fire's gone out. I've got an idea.
Because, oh, never mind. Kavon is in the way.
Well,
Broad
if
chest
Corman,
says,
Not wrong.
block mission.
yeah. Well, if Corman already rested with him and hacked him, I think we can, like, trust him. We can really.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
fine,
everyone
yeah.
trusts Cormon's judgment.
Okay, you
Coromon,
guys
the
are making me
wisest of
feel
all of us.
like I'm just paranoid here, but...
No, I'm with you, Dawn.
It's
He
a bad
attacked my
idea.
arm.
Aelith is just gonna
Yeah.
slide up to Dornit and like go 2 for 2 before swinging back around to where she was.
Look.
So,
Oh, sorry.
go ahead, Oral. Go ahead, Oral.
Look, I'm not particularly interested in. This is another circumstance. I know you don't like it, Dawn. I'm sorry, but it is another instance where the information he has could be just. He'll start to basically repeat what Ayla said. Just be so valuable to us, and I simply feel like we can't afford to pass it up.
What's his name?
I forget. Elrod will tell you.
Logvek.
Logvek.
Logvik. Elzo,
Vic.
add his name to the list.
The list?
A list of what?
He just made the list. You just made the list.
You just made George's shit list.
Wow, language, Elrod, Jesus.
So,
Have a list.
Still here by the fire.
well, let's go. So, what side are we on still?
I don't know anymore.
What's the name of our land? What's the name of the planet Mist? I know I asked already. It's like
Oh my god. How would you...
Planet?
Our world, Earth.
Earth 2.
Azeroth.
Yeah, Dawn.
Whatever the planet in Dune is named.
Disneyland. Yeah.
More
Arrakis?
deep.
I don't know, I've never read.
'Cause I remember we came up with the name of our group, and he's just gonna say our group's name. That is our allegiance.
Duranai.
Duranai's Tempest or Wind. That is our allegiance, Dawn. I mean Wallace.
Well, I was just asking because we seem to be gathering the enemy as we go along.
We're an equal opportunity employer. We're an equal opportunity
Keep your
employment
friends close,
agency.
your enemies closer.
Well, I know we're equal opportunity. I know we employ anyone, but I mean, we're literally fighting the people where we just pick them up as we go. How do we get so lucky? We're just picking up the ones who happen to want to fight against them. This one was a giant spider hoe. The other one, he's just sitting here randomly in the forest talking to himself.
You know,
Hey, he
Wallace,
tried to
you're
hit my
absolutely right.
dog.
Let's go back. Let's go back and recruit the spider creature.
No.
You are welcome to try.
Not sitting around. No. I mean, think of it like this. I'm sure there's plenty among any militant force that don't actually want to fight. And if they're not going to fight us, then we might as well hear them out.
Sorry.
I just don't want him to start shouting as soon as we make it to the orc fort.
Well, do you have a spell of silence?
Not one that I can immediately cast. Do
It's
you-
called my javelin. Through his
Well,
neck.
Don't worry.
Prepare one when we get close.
Don't worry, we have a plan if things go wrong.
Does it involve stabbing?
No, it doesn't actually.
It does not involve stabbing.
involve burning.
Absolutely.
Works for me.
Well, you can grab some rope and maybe bite him.
I mean, I feel like that's probably more effort than, burning the person who just alerted the entire enemy camp to our prison.
We'll keep an eye on him as we get closer, and if we have any
Darn.
doubts, we'll gag him
I
when
think
he
you
gets close to the camp.
I think you should put some guards on him.
Elzo, do we have the force to spare for this task?
Yeah, I think a few of us could go around and just follow him around with our spears poking him.
I like how none of you guys are,
I like how
bringing
you
Koromon
think.
into this plan, because you could just be like, hey, Koromon, we give you the signal. Just fucking suplex him into the ground.
Honestly, more effective.
Fucking bury him underground with a suplex.
Then we'll do an athletics check.
When
We'll,
half
we'll
pint,
suplex each other.
They're letting Coromon bond with his new son.
I feel bad that we're all already plotting to kill Rix's character. I mean, Dane's character in case.
I mean, I know it's Dane's character, but I'm trying to look at this as my character would.
No, you're doing this exactly.
I'm looking at this.
We, me and him have already had this conversation, so.
Okay.
Elzo, I'm promoting you. You're now a major general.
Yay!
I'll work on his stripe door, don't worry.
Kayla's gonna applaud for him.
Would you two like to at least meet him?
He already attacked my dog, why the hell would I want to meet him? Wallace looks back and says,
He's just being
you know
ornery.
anything about this?
Look, I'm just starting to come around to Zelzira. You gotta push me to the hands.
You don't have to be social with him. I just figured
You don't have to hug him.
Tell you what, me and Jordan are gonna take the army to go hunt and get something to eat. When we come back, we might decide to talk to him.
Sure.
This is a fine compromise.
I'm not going to force anyone to be friends.
I'm okay with this.
Excellent.
Alright. Well, I'm going to head back to that camp and we'll wait for you there. Earlith, will you be joining me or are you going to go with them?
I'll join you.
Excellent.
Jordan, should we gather the troops?
Feel like we could use some diplomacy here.
Major General, gather the troops. We're going hunting.
We're good at that, yes!
Torn just wants to say cooler names every time he talks else out.
Alright, guys, we gotta go
Wallace
find
whispers-
things.
So,
Wallace
Remember-
whispers door. Do they have a
Lord
war cry?
Commander!
Some of them eat those berry things, so get some of those too while we're out.
Alright, well, as you approach me, you notice me that I'm sitting cross-legged in front of the campfire, staring into it. And just as you come near me, I am standing up. And it's midday, and I look straight up and stare right
It's-
at the sun.
It's actually early morning.
It's early morning. Well, I look at the sun.
Yes, he looks towards the sunrise, and as you do, you watch his eyes kind of flicker from this black with a shimmering look to it, and they kind of turn to this reddish color, and his hair removes the sparkling tint to it, and it kind of gets this faint orangey yellow tint on the tips of it. And the same goes for his arms. The constellations kind of vanish.
So,
Notice
he's
my...
a half Eladrin too.
is he?
No.
Would that tip me off to that?
You can roll another Arcana check.
Wait, he's a sparkle fairy like Elrod? What is happening?
His arcane aura, for lack of a better word, seems to have shifted. It'd be a little more heated.
Another thing that's shifted is that you notice on my face that I'm...
Sorry, so,
Yes.
but I don't think Eladrin shift like that in 4th edition.
I know.
No, they
I was
don't
making
shift
a
like that in
joke.
4th edition.
Oh,
I was
okay.
making a joke about that being how Eladrin work at fifth.
Right, right. I figured, but it went over my head for a second.
Yeah.
I got too into character.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's not the one.
And another thing you notice, as I get up, is personality suddenly completely changed. Oh, that feels a lot better. Why, hello, friends. Oh, look at the people around here. I met all these people. Oh, hey. This guy over here, Big Ben. Hey there.
Personality change with the celestial alignment, Walk.
Yeah. We're birds.
Get behind me.
always been this way. The sun is a lot more fun to hang out with. Once I attune myself to that, it's I just want to just go and punch something.
I see, you and Korma.
I like him.
Now, before we go do that, I just spoke to some of the other members of our group, and it seems like the general consensus is we're willing to take you along if you're looking for a shot at your father.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, that's great. When do we get to grind his bones?
Whenever we get to him and we can, Aelith just sort of punches the air. That thing.
Well, you see, it's quite a heavily fortified camp, you know. Hey, you can
Aelith,
get through that. What kind of...
What were you doing there? Were you waving? Were you fucking...
Koromon.
Was there a bug? I don't understand. What was?
Koromon.
You okay? Are you hurt? Are you injured?
No, we're going to hurt him. I assume that the bone grinding is going to happen before he's dead, based on the way that you seem so enthusiastic about it. So
Of course, he needs to watch his pride and joy, his general sons burn in front of him.
All right then. High spirits. Good.
Very good.
Good for morale.
Good. Excellent. I'm happy.
After our friends return from their little hunting trip, we'll get moving again.
So,
Yes.
Friends, do you have more? Do you even
We have
do you
many
have
more.
enough of an army to even get into that camp? You know, it's heavily fortified.
I mean, we have our plans.
Yes, we were hoping that the information you hold about the camp would give us some insight onto that.
Yes.
reading y'all's chat. God. So, as you guys are hanging out with your new quote-unquote companion, those of you out hunting, somebody needs to roll a nature check. Whoever's taking the lead on the hunting party.
I just realized how much that actually was.
Do you have an army? We have a Koromon.
I've got a 10 in nature. What do you?
Yeah, 9.
Oh,
Greta.
nature?
What do you?
9. Nature.
All right,
Well,
I'm
it's
leading.
all you.
I'm leading this party. Oh, this is going to go so horribly.
I think that the general should lead.
Level 1 kobold.
Yeah.
Doran. Like a practiced hunter, you kind of squat down, you inspect the ground as you guys get towards the outskirts of the city, closer to some of the trees. You kind of run your fingers through the snow, pick it up, sniff it, kind of grind it to water in your palm.
Doesn't smell like scat, does it?
No,
I was gonna say that's poop.
it's just
There's poop again.
it's just snow, and you stand up and you go that way, and you point directly west from where the direction you guys were going, straight into like a bigger gathering of trees. And as the party continues on, signs of any possible means of food seem to be scarce. There's maybe some berries on some bushes that are kind of frozen. No real animal life in the direction you've gone, or you guys are just being too loud and unsure of your pathing to really find anything.
Someone's
Can
gonna
I-
put away his pistol.
you rascally rabbit. Can I roll one just to roll it?
Sure.
I don't mean to alarm you, but I
Rip.
think we may have taken a wrong turn at Albuquerque.
Remember, you guys can aid as well.
I'm not better.
That's not good.
Let's try this together, Dor.
I will aid Greta though.
Okay, roll a d20. Well, if you want to aid her, roll a d20.
Okay.
No,
Oh, the door just bad at hunting, period. You both are.
We have no idea what we're doing.
Dorn being able to co-
Even know
perform-
what you're doing.
Out here.
So Dorn being able to perform rituals and such that create food has never had to worry about this kind of situation. And Wallace, being the pompous, noble diplomat that he is, has never had to hunt for his own food. Pfft. Not since he was a little kid. Meanwhile, Bretta, who's been out traveling the world and adventuring, is just like, there might be a rabbit that way, but she's still not even sure herself because your snow is new to you.
Perception?
at this point, the hunting party and all the massive kobolds who just don't seem to want to shut up because they're like wanting to prove themselves and they're hunting and calling out to each other, and a few of them.
Please tell me they're like going ding 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 all in a line.
Yes.
That's my idea of kobold.
Yes.
I'm purposely shooting this as feet.
I'm imagining them like an army of Pikmin.
Yeah.
Oh my
Major
god.
General, silence the troops.
What is that for, Wallace?
I'm shooting at the kobold's feet.
All of them, or just one?
Just one. Just to scare them all.
You hear this? Those of you at the camp, back at the camp, hear this shriek of like kobold voices.
What in the
Wait,
world is happening over there?
Us back at the camp hear this?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Wallace goes, shut up and fall in line.
Oh my.
Oh, don't
Okay.
scare the little guy
Do,
like
do we
that.
hear that part?
No, you guys don't hear that.
We
Aelith,
did hear the shriek.
You heard all the shrieking because it was like 20-something kobolds shrieking at once.
Aelith is trying to grab Elrod and pull him to his feet if he's sitting down. Come
Yeah,
on, it sounds
Koromon
like something
stands
bad's
up.
happening.
Alright, let's go.
Come on.
Okay, we're gonna try this one more time. I'm gonna roll a nature check, y'all aid.
Glad I didn't get up. I was about to say I'm gonna go get up and grab another drink.
Are we heading this
Oh
way?
my god.
Saving throw.
Yes, we're gonna find something.
Yes, we are.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Yay, we found something.
So
Find a rabbit.
Wallace with Dorn and Wallace on one side of the group are coming around, and they find this small rabbit hole. And so they prep, and a few of the kobolds line up, and you watch as one ties a rope to its spear, and then hurls a spear into the thing, and pulls out this small little rabbit. And then over on the other side, with Bretta and the other half of the kobolds, you all hear the sudden as a bunch of spears go flying into this body of a deer.
Wallace whispers to Doran, that's a big rabbit, right?
that is the largest rabbit I've ever seen.
As the kobold pulls this little baby rabbit out of its hole, it looks like enough to feed maybe one of the kobolds.
Elza, do you have any smaller kobolds?
Yes?
Send one down and ferret out the rest.
You! Hey, Bucket, over here!
Bucket?
Bucket. He called him Bucket. And you watch as this little kobold, carrying several little buckets on its back, comes up and Elzo pulls the buckets off and just pushes them into the thing, into the little rabbit hole. And you watch as this kobold kicks his feet up in the air as he's stuck. His ass and his tail up in the air. No, you fit!
Major General.
You fit! And he kicks him a few more times, and then Shabonk comes up as well and starts helping. And eventually he gets forced into the rabbit's den, and all you hear is this scurrying noise. And a very faint, nothing in here!
Well, he didn't do his job, so dig up the hole. Fill it back
Excellent
up.
work,
I
Bucket.
mean, fill the hole back up.
Yeah.
Fill the hole back.
Be right back.
Leave him here. Moving on.
Major General, remove Bucket from the hole.
Frida, do you see more deer?
Oh, no, this is only one I have seen here. Oh, nice job, little guys.
I
We have a lot to it today.
And you,
Hope you guys find.
at your command, Dorn, Elzo throws a spear down the hole again.
Oh god.
You hear like, ah! Got it! They pull him back out, and he gets stuck again on the way out.
Excellent job, Major General.
Hey, darn Wallace. I think my kobolds are better than your kobolds.
Well, why don't we try one more time? We'll have one more test.
While you guys are all doing this, there's a small sect of the kobolds that are actually going around setting traps. Like, they're just grabbing twigs and different things and building their own traps around the area.
So do me and Doran get a bonus?
What?
We're gonna challenge each other. We're gonna challenge Brita to see if we can find more.
Okay, one of you.
This year.
Well, for you two, one of you rolls nature, one of you rolls a d20, and Bretta just rolls nature.
I went to
Major
get a
General,
plan.
prep the troops. We're going to try heading slightly north.
What is up?
Well, crap.
Alright,
Okay,
come on,
Brett
Doran. I believe in you.
Officially the group hunter.
Yeah, we're going now.
Gordon, why do you just keep rolling saving
He's aiding.
Oh, okay.
Aiding is a D20. If it's 10 or higher, the person gets a +2 to their check. It's not like 5e where you can just say, I'm aiding you. So,
Yeah, I missed the part where he was aiding.
you guys, Dorn and Wallace's group of halflings kind of venture up north a little bit. You come across another little gathering, and there's like 3 or 4 rabbit holes here, and the kobolds immediately split off to go search into those. While Brenna's group is still, half of them stop to fiddle with the deer and tie it up, and you watch as like 4 of them like put the rope over their back, and they start very slowly dragging the deer back towards camp.
Major General, release the bucket.
And, and the other ones that are with Brenna, they kind of split off a little more northwest of you guys. And you see a fox.
Freaking losing it.
What
Yeah,
does the
we are.
fox say, though?
Oh, and Ayla just died of a heart attack.
Welcome.
Her heart got stuck changing between forms. Alright, so Elzo kicks Bucket towards one of the things, and he kicks a few more towards the other two rabbit holes, and down they go.
Bucket. Oh, his name is Bucket.
And once again, Bucket seems to get, he's a little pudgier bit of a kobold. He seems to get stuck again going into his hole, while the other two just kind of actually smart enough to burrow their way into it. And Brenna, did you tell yours to attack the fox?
Yep.
Okay. And so the kobolds over there veer back and hurl their spears.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry. Did I miss anything?
Not yet.
We're having a challenge to see who can wrap up more.
You watch as the spears go flying and the fox just takes off, avoiding the spears altogether.
Are Aelith and I just still on our way?
Yeah.
Perfect.
In fact, as you guys are...
going to chase the fox.
Yeah, get it! You watch as these, like 5 of the kobolds run over and grab their spears and keep chasing. Farther into the forest, just keep going, chasing the fox, because you told them to. And while you're waiting,
We
Dorn...
have to retreat.
Elzo eventually holds up 3 more rabbits. We got it! These are actually nice, big, plump rabbits that could feed like 4 kobolds.
Nice job, Major General.
Thank you!
Do we see what Brady got?
So Elrod and Aelith, and Cormon, I believe, as you guys are kind of coming to see what all that commotion is, you come across... Oh, first I need you all to roll perception.
Sure.
Yeah, no.
Oh?
No, Cormon, Elrod, and Aelith.
Pay attention, Dorn.
I'm trying to. I want to roll perception.
I'm not.
Oh.
I'm just getting
Oh my god.
I'm gone cross-eyed.
Actually, as Elrod's being dragged along by Aelith, he trips over a stick and face plants into the
Oh no, it gets better. So Aelith takes the lead.
Both fucked down to the ground.
I almost got a nat
Aelith, as you're going, you actually notice some things on the ground, and you kind of sidestep them. Before you can turn and warn the other two, you hear these little kink! Well, more like a snapping of twig noises. And these really crudely made wooden traps, they don't do anything, because they're made out of tree twigs, come up and clamp around Elrod and Cormon's feet. And as they snap close on Cormon's massive calves, they just break. And you hear 4 kobolds jump out. Food! Oh. You break
Yep,
trap!
I think we found them.
Oh, hello.
It's about this
Yes,
time.
yeah.
Did you feel something?
We heard screaming. Is everything okay?
Yes, the fuzzy-head ones shoot fire at us.
What?
Oh.
Fuzzy-headed one?
Wallace,
Wallace.
Oh, Wallace.
look at that hairdo. It's about this time you guys hear this grunting noise, and 5 other kobolds are just dragging this deer with spears implanted into its side. Torn
Is that a
jaw.
Juve?
Huh. Nice shot.
As you see, things are going well.
Oh, good.
Did the other kobolds that went for the fox came by?
I haven't come back yet.
Oh no. Wallace! Wallace!
Yeah?
Do you have all your cobbles? I think I'm missing 4 cobbles.
5.
Oh, 5.
You're missing how many?
5!
You know we only have a limited amount, right? You can't just lose them. Wallace turns to Doran. Apparently we've lost 5 of our army.
I'm going to roll perception to see maybe where to go.
It's
Major General, blow the horn.
And about the time you hear the little horns of the kobolds going, you hear this off in the distance, and the 5 kobolds come sprinting back. Yeti! Yeti! Yeti!
Yeti.
Yeti?
Yeti!
Edgy.
And there's this massive lurking, it's like bounding through the snow, this large furry white creature with small horns and massive teeth, just chasing right after these kobolds.
Cormon Senior?
Can I shoot an Eldritch Blast at?
Yes, you may. It
Where
is
am I
not
shooting at?
not quite in range yet. Roll on yourself because I don't have a token for it. Because I've got to find one. Oh, they're all
+2 since I'm attacking myself.
since you're what?
Since I'm attacking myself. Surprise attack.
It is. It actually technically is a surprise attack, so that would hit. And actually, let me check its AC or its reflex. Oh yeah, that hits. This massive Yeti with Jewel is bounding through the snow after your kobolds, and you just see Wadless fire off this Eldritch Blast. And Cormon, you guys, and Elrod, you guys have kind of caught up to the rest of the group with the kobolds that
Yeah, I was
aren't
gonna
dragging the
wonder-
deer.
I was gonna ask where we're at because we're still kind of standing over by this fireplace.
Yeah, I didn't know you. I didn't plan on you guys going hunting, so I don't have a map for this.
I'll just stand next to the titty witch over here.
Where's everyone gone?
You guys have never.
You underestimate my power.
You guys have never stopped to hunt. To be fair, I've never really had you guys camp out either. So Yeti, there. We're just gonna use this area here.
Am I near anyone? Am I standing next to Elrond and Aelith?
Yeah, you're with Elrod and Aelith, so Zero's not there.
Do we see the Yeti at this point where we're at?
Yes, you actually watch as you guys are coming up the last little snowbank there. You watch as this green bolt of magic goes flying out from Wallace's hand and impacts on this massive furry creature that just it sends it tumbling away. And how much damage did it? 17.
Elrond, I'm confused. Is Wallace trying to befriend the Yeti like he tried to befriend the fucking Lugnut?
Wait, do I notice this fight going on?
No, they
Somewhat far away from the camp?
you're off at the unless you followed them, you're at camp.
Yeah, but
I
that's
stayed
a
at the
Yeti.
camp.
But
I don't know how far away they are.
Yeah,
How far away is it?
this will be the Yeti.
Oh, I'm going to attack the Yeti too.
Major General, unleash the rod.
Oh god.
Oh god.
Squish.
Oh shit.
Okay. So let's think now that we've gone a while, you're probably catching up kind of from behind. If we're going to do this, I'm not going to bother with initiative order, because this shouldn't take you guys very long. So after Wallace, who does something?
I do something, but I fail. So.
Oh.
Elrod wants to protect his friends. Elrod goes in.
Yeah, just roll against yourselves.
Once everyone else has done anything, I'm going to do my thing.
Choom choom.
What is this over here? Ooh, a
I
fight!
daze it.
So-
I daze
oh
myself.
man,
I
my
think I
spell
daze
is
the
broken.
Is the Rod and Elrod gonna work together as a tag team against the Yeti?
So as
Not yet.
you hear the shrill of the little pinky being released from a jar, and you watch as Elrod comes running up quickly, saying his friend's in danger. Oh no! He swings at the thing, and you watch as he smacks the Yeti right across the head with his hilt after he slices through it, and it's dazed.
Yay. And I get the power back.
I guess I have to click on myself. That's
Yes.
Corma. I'm gonna donkey punch. Oh my god, so many things.
There we are.
Right behind Elrond, Corma's just coming up, extends his arm as the thing goes tumbling, and right as it stands back up, it just takes a clothesline to the face. It goes
Right.
tumbling backwards back in the snow again. Falls.
You alright, Elrond?
Plenty fun.
Okay, what do you do, Aelith?
There we go. Might as well.
And
Oh my
as... Wait, let's see. 31, 19, 16.
Yeah.
Okay, the first two hit. And so as all this is going on, the pinky is like falling into the snow. You guys are just seeing this little like collapse of snow as it runs. This tiny little creature is running through the snow. You're just watching as this little canyon is falling in from all the snow where it's running. And these two magical tarot cards come flying out, impacting the Yeti, like Gambit style, slicing it up. As the third one goes to make contact, the Yeti just collapses over, and it misses. And it's dead.
Good work, team.
What?
Hey.
So already.
Major General, get the flaying knives.
Yes, sir!
Nice job.
Yeah, the highest level Yeti in the book is a level 5.
Man, we should have Batmaned it and
Hi-
got on
the
top and said,
highest
"Who
level,
sent you?"
The
Dunking
highest
on a
level
Yeti.
in
Yeah.
5e is a level 9.
Well, now we have all
Can
the
we-
food we can get.
Yeah, I was gonna
Can
say,
we eat the jetty?
You can certainly try. What was that,
Are
Cormon?
Yetis even edible?
I was gonna ask, can we eat it? But definitely eaten worse.
Yes, he has.
I'll eat it.
Can I have
The scraps of meat I've gotten.
the kobolds like one of my javelin forms, and they can tie it up and carry it back, and we'll put it over the fire and spin around with some rabbits on the end.
Okay, so as you guys make your way back to camp, and like it's taking all the kobolds to drag this thing. It's a large creature. It's just taking all the kobolds to drag this thing here. And you get back.
Think of it as a team building exercise, Major General.
Yes, sir. And as as you guys get back, the kobolds that drug the deer back had already started chopping it up and like skinning it and doing all that. Not very neatly, mind you. The kobolds, they usually just rip and tear into their thing, so a lot of it is eventually ripping the flesh out with their teeth and then spitting it out so they can cook it. For you guys, like they've got one of their little helmets turned over, and they're ripping chunks of flesh out of it and spitting it into this helmet.
Wallace walks up and hands them a knife.
Huh?
If they can even use it.
They kind of look at the knife, look at you, look at the deer, look at the knife, look at you. Then it turns over his hand, just starts stabbing the deer. Cut. He takes it, flips it over in his hand again. He's got it, holding it like a really big pencil, and he sticks it in the deer and just drags it across the deer's body. It didn't do nothing. It just make line.
Wallace grabs it and shoves it into the deer.
I mean, he cut a line. He cut a gash in it. He just didn't understand. He just drug it through. It was like, oh, that's all I did.
Wallace says, "Try harder."
Okay. Roll a.
I just rolled an athletics.
Oh, so you dug it back in there?
Yeah.
Okay, so you just stick it back in and draw another gash, and you tell him to make another cut across the way there. And so he listens to it, he does it again, and eventually he's cut this little triangular chunk of deer flesh out with the skin still attached.
I call Brita over. Brita, do you know how to skin?
Oh, yeah, give me a moment. Let me get the knife.
I think
Oh,
it's
do you
just
have a knife
skills
there?
I
everything.
should probably start getting ready to go now.
Yeah, I understand, you gotta be up early.
Oh, okay.
Until May 19th on Fridays through Sundays, I have to be awake at 5:30.
Oh,
That's-
that's so weird.
That's
That's fine. There's nothing major supposed to happen here. Especially now that you guys started hunting.
No. No, unless they decide to kill me.
That's true.
Rip.
That's also true.
Good luck.
Okay, so Bretta, you get the knife. You get the knife into the deer, but I need you to roll nature check
Okay.
to see if you actually know how to skin and cut up an animal.
This will be the first time she rolls a 1. She's rolled 20s all.
Watch, Brett will be like the most terrifying of all of us. She's like all happy-go-lucky until she gets angry, and then it's like kill mode engaged.
Bretta stabs her knife in and then kind of pulls it out. And goes, stabs the knife back in, cuts out another chunk like the kobolds, then just holds it out. That's what I do.
Gormon, do you know how to skin an animal?
Yeah.
I don't know actually if Coromon would know.
He probably just rips the skin off of animals. Roll a nature check, Cormon.
I mean, am I wearing any furs right now?
You are, but
Okay.
most of your stuff at this point has been gifted to you as a champion.
That's true.
Hey, Wallace, but this is the best way to eat meat. See?
The few times you've had to skin an animal, Cormon, you've just like filleted part of it and just ripped the skin off of it.
Yeah, it's not going to be graceful.
Who cares? We're eating it anyways. Just don't make too much of a mess.
The fun part's gonna be watching y'all try to skin the Yeti.
I'm going to attempt to skin the Yeti.
Get Dorn over here. I'm pretty sure he'll Buffalo Bill that fucking Yeti and wear like a Yeti.
Are they? Does my group seem safe? Do these guys seem like they've got everything under control now?
Yeah, you guys have made it back to camp by now.
Okay. I thought we were still hanging out in the woods. And they
No.
started
Does
dressing me up.
that work? Mystic?
Yes, you actually walk up to the Yeti with your knife and you grab a chunk of hair, you slice through the hair, and then you kind of slide the knife underneath it to fillet through the skin a little bit and start skinning the Yeti like the proper way.
And then he starts dancing.
Yeah, he does.
Elrod, help me skin this Yeti.
Do you really need my help with that?
I have bigger swords.
Yeah, you're probably gonna need all the help you'll get.
Elrod, why is he near our food?
Give me a knife, I'm gonna cut it open.
Don't you have like big long fingernails? Claws and shit?
Major General,
Only half work.
Be cooking over
Yes?
fire.
we're gonna need a larger fire.
On it.
I guess I'll roll.
On it. I'll actually give you a slight bonus because you've been surviving in the wilderness for like a month by yourself. So, you come over with your own. You get a knife from one of the kobolds, the ones that are just standing there and like not sure how to skin something. You start skinning the Yeti or the deer.
It's Wallace alone skinning the Yeti, so I'm gonna help with that.
Well, I'm trying to help Wallace, but as you come over, Elrod will just simply step aside. Clearly, you have the expertise here.
And you guys watch as the orc, to no surprise, actually lifts up and just like Wallace does, starts skinning this thing with relative success.
Wallace casually says, thanks.
Hey, don't be prom, little kid.
Hey,
Wallace,
Dorn. Should you go, Wallace?
no, you go.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dorn.
Yes.
Dorn. Can you, like fireball the Yeti so you can cook it faster?
The men are gathering more firewood, but I can start burning it out if you want.
Yeah, I'm kinda hungry, actually.
Fire, you say? I can
why
cook
not?
it up. Because I actually have some fire spells.
Oh, God. Don't burn the meat.
Wallace starts singing, it's time to make yerky.
Yerky?
The only problem is it's AoE, so I'm gonna... Well, I'm gonna have to have everyone step back for a bit.
We're gonna see if his fire's bigger than Doran's fire.
Dorm does not step back.
Against myself.
Yeah, just roll against yourself.
I crit. Oh wait, no.
No. So as Dorn starts setting the Yeti ablaze, and the kobolds bring the deer over to the fire that's kind of sprouted up out of the ground. You watch as your new orc companion raises his hands, and a brief shimmer of the night sky reappears above you, and stars come blazing down onto the Yeti and the deer as well, and they impact in a brilliant flash before erupting in small flames as well. And
Cook it!
the scent of cooking fresh meat begins to fill to the air.
Dawn, his fire is as big as yours.
No, the fun thing is mine leaves a cage around my target, a ring of fire.
So does Dorn's. It's a zone of fire, yeah.
Are we sacrificing it?
Or sacrifice it to the cooking gods.
You two pretty much did the same spell with different flavor texts.
Mine is clearly bigger.
Wallace walks up to the orc and goes, and you've been chopped.
Oh, mine has the other thing when they leave. Yep.
Oh god, Wallace.
Does the Major General return with firewood?
Yes, they return with firewood eventually. They begin making a large campfire, and after about another hour or so, you guys have a larger bonfire here, more away from the tent.
We must put together a contraption that we can put the Yeti over the giant fire to slowly turn it and roast it.
The kobolds help disassemble the head, remove the head and the neck, break it down, help you guys break it down some as it's cooking in the fire. Or as it's sizzling in the first spout of flames from you guys, and eventually you guys get it situated and racked rotisserie style over the new bonfire with the deer over the other bonfire. And about 30 minutes after that, you guys have a breakfast consisting of Yeti meat and deer meat. And some rabbit meat, which the kobolds have just kind of ripped into on their own.
Excellent job, Major General.
Overall, I think this is a successful day.
It's like 2 hours into the day.
I think so.
Yes.
Got the grace of the sun ahead of us.
Wallace looks at him. So, what's up with you? Are you bipolar?
I sim.
Sun worshippers.
His personality seems to align with the celestial bodies he attunes himself to.
Oh god, he's a student of Paylor.
So, he's gloomy at night and happy during the day?
This appears to be so.
Wallace whispers to Dorn and Corma, how does he make love?
But you never heard of hate fucking?
Not particularly.
Hate fucking? Doesn't make sense.
Oh, it does. It does, alright.
Will you care to explain that?
He just kind of looks at you. You kind of get the feeling he doesn't know if he wants to know, and then he just goes back to his meat, just eating. Okay then.
So after fulfilling breakfast, complimented by kobolds, running about trying to help with whatever they can, and eventually the emergence of a tiny pinky that is nearly frozen over as it crawls up Dorn's robe. You left me in the cold. You threw me into the snow. It's a fucking foot tall.
Oh, look, Dorn's a daddy.
But you were so powerful and great, I thought that I didn't need to worry about you.
Fuck you.
Okay, I deserve that.
Dawn, you're conversing with my finger. This feels wrong.
Here, cuddle up in the dust.
This is all I can think about.
Lochwick looks on in confusion and just
I'm going to pretend I didn't see any of that.
So, after you guys have rested and settled and defrosted the pinky and gotten the army back together, all 50 kobolds are still with you.
Good.
Thank you, because I was about to ask that.
You
Make
guys,
sure that my kobold's working.
The coals were hurt in the.
you guys have given Ludwig the terms of agreement, so to say.
What is this, a contract?
Fuck it, Bucket, you take it.
Basically, we're willing to give you a shot at your father. Come back with us, and we won't have to kill you.
He's right, you know.
I'm not interested in any war with Outlanders. All I'm interested in is...
Wow, somebody's got some
This
daddy
one-
issues.
I understand that.
What?
He's right. Elrod has a lot of daddy issues.
Well, I would never see our enemy when they went out to their expedition. I never get any idea of what it was we conquered or what we gained. What the hell is the point of this?
I missed the beginning. What did he say?
I can't understand that accent.
Can you repeat
I
that?
Ah, yes. I'd never see our enemy when our father went out. My father went out to those expeditions. I'd never get any idea of what it was we conquered or what we gained. I had no idea what this war was even for.
Well, if he is on that Council of Six, his own ego, really.
Speaking of which, when I was escaping the camp, I encountered an interesting note. I think it was addressed to a Lothic.
I know a Lothek.
Do you now?
He's one of the Six. Yes, we killed him. He was a necromancer. Turned lich, in fact.
Well, it speaks of some girls in deserts and kingdom with a brat that pledged loyalty to a raven queen. I don't know what that's all about. Perhaps perhaps you can make more sense of it.
I would very much like to see it.
Can
I have to go pull that out because I forgot what I gave you.
take out a small parchment?
Yeah, because I don't
We're
really
just gonna
remember
give
that
it
either.
his item.
No, the pinky's in my duster. Oh, a thumb.
Where did I put that in your Roll20 inventory?
It's, yeah, it's just under handouts.
Oh. Oh, why is that showing to be for you?
Wait, I'm not supposed to have that?
No, that was from back when they were in Swampgate.
Oh. Never mind me. This is an old letter from way back when.
Why does it show? Oh, because it's still set to all players. That should be in Elrod's pocket.
Yeah, it's something to do with... That was confusing.
Yeah.
That letter.
Elrod has all the goodies right now, as far as lore information goes, towards trading.
No, I know nothing. Never mind.
Yeah, scratch that. That was a player review mistake there. So,
You're not wrong.
Wait, so no letter? Or
no letter. There's no letter.
Oh.
He was seeing the letter that's in your handouts.
Oh, the Fae, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I was...
That's fine. We didn't discuss this. So you guys have fed, you guys have reconciled and talked to the orc. You guys are on the outskirts of the ruins. The pass between the mountains lies on ahead. You guys wish to continue your journey?
That would probably be best. Don't know why I answered that in Elrod's voice.
Sounds like a fucking Oregon Trail. Do you wish to continue?
Yes, God, we should probably keep going.
Are Are you there, God? It's me.
Well, if it's Oregon Trails, then let me do this.
You have died of dysentery.
Yep, I died dysentery.
So, you guys gather everything up, pack everything away. The kobolds lead the way, as they are proper cannon fodder. And you guys... You, you guys
We are the stealthiest army.
begin your trek farther south.
Dun, 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 dun.
Why is
Ohio, Vira.
why is the map not loading on my stream?
Elvira, I need you.
Oh, by the way, Wallach's
There it goes.
two of the dragon skills he has in his bag, he kind of puts them together with some string and stuff, and holds it to Elzo as his new Major General bag.
Yes.
All right.
I love some too.
So you guys are about... Well, let me use the right one here. You guys are...
Wait, we need theme music. Play the theme music.
Yeah, that should be able to play in the background while I'm doing this. You guys will have to click it yourselves.
Oh, it's already going.
Need to go.
Song's about you, Doran.
So,
Oh, man,
you guys are... You have to go into Discord and click it, bud. Because I can't just directly import things. I have to go convert them.
No, I was quoting the movie. Go
Oh.
on.
You guys are about right here. You see the little arrow?
We didn't make any progress at all.
Oh, you guys were up here. 10 miles or so. So you guys eventually, for most of the day, travel till you reach about right here. And the colors are just political borders at this point. So you guys, towards the end of the day, as the sun begins to set again, have made your way towards the opening in the mountain pass there that leads to the... Okay, stopping the music. We get copyright slapped with all our massive viewing audience. You guys exit the mountain pass off in the distance. Don't scroll down yet. You see the towering orc citadel. Standing tall, surrounded by a couple of watchtowers. And way off in the distance, closer and closer to it, you can see these large red creatures tied down in the distance. I don't even have everybody on the map.
So don't scroll down yet.
Don't scroll down yet.
It's a secret.
I've been sick and had no help at work this week, so I slapped this together right before we started, so it's not properly covered up.
Oh, good. But we're actually really far away, you said.
Yeah, you're actually much farther than the map shows at this point.
Okay, good. Thank God. I don't know what it is, but if you're not letting us look at it yet, I don't want to be near it.
I can solve that problem.
Please don't.
No, I can put a box over it.
Oh.
There. There's a box over it. You can kind of see the citadel at the bottom of the box. But the snow fades slowly into this trodden, dirty ground. And eventually you guys are out in an open field with the mountains on either side of you. It's faint. You see two small watchtowers from where you're at. You see the towering citadel in the distance. And in this massive open field, you get full visibility for probably 10 miles. This is nice. It's flat. It's nice, flat, serene. You see these large reddish lumps off in the distance, surrounded by smaller reddish lumps. And as you guys continue on down, slowly, nightfall eventually comes, and you're probably 4 or 5 hours away from actually being able to really see what this is that's there. So you guys are able to make camp. Is there anything you guys want to do here for your camp?
It's nighttime, or
It is nighttime now.
Tell a campfire story.
Yeah, you guys have actually been traveling for a long time at this point. Because you've been camping lately from sundown to about midnight, and then traveling from like 1 or 2 in the morning on into through the day to get as much ground as you can.
Is Zilzira seem interested in doing that ritual thing?
There's no trees or anything. No, you're not in the woods. You're out in an open field.
Oh.
Does that change Zelzira getting naked and dancing?
It seems to. She seems to have nowhere to... That seems to suit her mood.
Are there trees nearby? Like, are we on the edge of the plains?
I like how Elrod's thinking.
They are...
Once you get those bard tricks.
They're all the way at the opening of the mountain pass. I mean, if you guys look here, you guys are like right here.
Oh, okay.
Everything else is that way, and the citadel is that way.
Still not quite time. I mean, if they're like, you know, like a 30-minute walk away, it's not worth it.
No, they're more than that.
Okay, yeah. You'll have to wait. Sorry. I know you're disappointed, Ayla.
Wallace is gonna sit by himself and start writing in his journal.
Okay. And the kobolds represent y'all's whole army. I'm not dragging 50 kobolds onto the screen. So at this point, you guys have settled down. You've made a camp, and at this point, you guys are going to have to assign somebody to keep watch. Because you are a few miles from the Orcish Citadel out in an open field.
Are we doing shifts or?
Well, I don't need to sleep much, so I can... Elrod will volunteer to take first.
Okay.
Wallace will take second.
I'm going to take third.
I've watched this area for months, so I'll stick in the night.
So,
Where'd that voice come from? No word come on the screen.
Dorn is going to converse with his second in command.
I am a
And it's
ghost.
going to sound kind of like this.
Oh my god.
Oh, that is weird.
why is the Undertale spider all dressed up?
Why, Dawn? Why? You were supposed to use protection. I was wearing my armor.
I was wearing my armor.
So, first watch comes, and those of you who aren't taking first watch, sit down to rest. So, Elrod, roll a perception check for me.
Yay, I'm good at that. Just kidding. Perception.
I am going to do a similar ritual to switch to.
It's not terrible.
So, in your 2 to 3 hour shift here, you kind of keep watch, keep an eye on things. The only real light provided to you is from the stars above, and a half moon at this point. And as you glance around, nothing seems to catch your attention in the night. There's no sudden movements, no signs of scouts, or anything like that. And so you turn your gaze towards the sky, and a familiar green dot catches your attention just briefly, looking ever so slightly larger, before it seems to vanish from your vision.
Why do I have a stinking feeling that that's going to be my problem someday? Or somebody's.
And your shift comes to an end with no trouble.
Boo, boring.
To your elf I see. Check shit.
That's usually how it goes. So who was taking second watch?
Yes,
That
that's
was-
me, unless Koromon wants to go.
What is this shit? Why is fucking Dorn signing me up for that? I'm snoring, dude.
I thought it was Wallace.
I think it was me.
Yeah.
So, Elrod, you go over, you nose Wallace awake. Tell him it's his turn.
As Wallace wakes up, he slowly opens his eyes. He sees it's dark, and he suddenly remembers he has goggles. Give him dark vision. And he puts his goggles on. Now that he remembers outside the cave.
Oh, you finally looked at your inventory, huh?
And he still sucked. He couldn't figure out how to get his goggles on.
Still half asleep. He kind of just puts the goggles on all weird, and the lenses are turned sideways, and he can't really see anything. And he's kind of scouting the camp while he's fiddling with his goggles. And unbeknownst to him, there seems to be movement across the field from this direction. As Wallace continues his patrol around, eventually getting his goggles fixed. Roll another perception for me, Wallace. Possibly getting his goggles fixed.
I figured it out.
You've rounded your way back around the small camp, and your eyes lock with the dark vision goggles onto the movement in the fields. It's just some bunnies. With huge annoying teeth. No.
Oh no. It's a killer
Alright.
machine.
Poor Wallace wants to sneak up and catch her for morning, but he's not.
So, Wallace's night goes off with not much of a hitch. You guys are getting lucky on the table I've rolled up here. And so he goes and wakes Bretta.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Bretta to take the last half. It's now probably around 3 a.m. at this point. So Bretta, you wake up and begin your patrol around the camp. Roll your perception for me. As you're walking about the camp, the moon starting its descent into the night sky. The moons, I should say, starting their descent into the night sky. Because yeah, there's 3 moons. The stars overhead.
Grey Wolf Moon?
As you're walking about, this massive shadow goes passing over the camp. It's large over where the portion that it passes by, and this shadow extends out either side in what looks like a wingspan of sorts
Oh crap.
Oh, dragon.
as it flies over the
Ooh, something for me to punch?
way. As if you remember,
It's a witch.
this thing is on the map.
Good thing you got a Cormorant.
Dragon.
It flies past us?
It just flies over the camp. It doesn't look like it seems to take note of you, or if it does, it's not doing anything to react. So you're unsure yourself if it noticed you, it was like scouting the area, or if it was just out for a nightly fly.
Gotta walk your dragon.
And so towards the end of your shift, the sun begins to rise, and the shadow passes over the camp once again. This time, with the sun rising and the sudden darkness that passes over the camp, it kind of wakes everybody up. As this brief brilliance of sunlight suddenly vanished for a few seconds as it was penetrating you guys' sleepy eyes, and then suddenly it was dark and then bright again. You could even hear the faint of the wings.
Dragon. We have a dragon here. Looks like it.
Penetrate that dragon.
Yeah, what says? Yeah, there he is again.
You
What?
knew that, dragon.
Not surprised at all, it would seem.
Yeah, he's constantly patrolling our area above our camp. I actually have no idea what he does.
Valuable
Actually-
before we wandered here.
It is your father's dragon.
Oh,
But it does patrol the areas around Orkwood. I actually don't remember if I gave it a name or not. If I
My
did, it'd be on
father's
the
death
official maps.
pet dragon.
Smog.
It is not Smog.
Yeah, he'd be an ancient dragon. We'd be dead.
Yeah, it's totally not ancient. Totally not.
Actually, I forget the lore, but apparently Smog was 3,000 years old. That would make him a great worm, which is terror.
Ah, it's Jarluk.
Chanook.
John Luke?
John,
Jarluk.
look at me crazy, man. John, look at me crazy.
My father's pet dragon, Jarnook.
Jarluk. L-U-K.
Ah, fuck.
And in the time you've been around, it's grown from a young adult dragon. Or it was an adult-sized dragon when you were born, and now it's kind of grown in size since then. But it was massive when it was flying over.
Is Elrod Jr. big enough to have a Pokemon battle with it?
No. Although Elrod Jr. enjoyed having a bunch of rabbits to nitpick and fight over kobolds with. So,
Elrod Jr. the finger or Elrod Jr. the Hydra?
the Hydra.
Jeez.
Okay.
And so,
A lot of Elrod Jr.
Oh no.
No, Elrod Pinky is known as the Rod.
Gotcha. The rod.
you guys awaken to the sound of a dragon passing overhead. To Bretta's warning about it, and low, I'm just calling him low, until you guys give him some kind of shitty nickname.
John
It's
Luke.
the dragon.
Red boy.
Red boy, and Low's comments about it. Did you guys prepare for the day? The kobolds seem very excited to be seeing a dragon.
Is your father's dragon particularly enthused about being his pet?
He's always followed. I think he's always followed him into whatever campaign he went out in. I think.
Yes, the dragon. This dragon in particular seems very fond of its caretaker.
What check is it to know about like the nature of a red dragon, how prideful they are? Is that Arcana?
That is, I believe it is Arcana. 1 second. Dragon. It is nature.
I'll try it. He reads a lot of books.
Okay.
So, is the tomato sad again?
Oh, you know the basics of red dragons. The dragon's breath weapon is fire that can sear flesh and heat metal. The breath of an ancient dragon can strip even magical resistance to fire away from a creature caught in its blast. So even Ifrits fear these mightiest of dragons. The red dragons prefer to lair deep underground. They often have high perches above ground where they survey their territory, watching for intruders. So it's doing typical red dragon things of keeping an eye on its land. As far as dragons in the world go, they're usually very prideful, very isolated, outside of meeting up to create offspring and then going their separate ways, much like most reptiles and animals do. Only these are super intelligent and deadly. So a species or a group of people training dragons for their own, either training or breeding dragons, in a sense, is unheard of.
And fucking terrifying. God.
Yes.
Well, I mean, if the dragons are subservient, that alone shows their intelligence.
Yeah.
Punch that dragon in the face!
Let me at him.
So
Punch you in the face.
you guys pack up your things, begin your trek across the fields again under the cover of the early morning. And now, if it'll let me select it, yes,
And now,
You
in this
guys-
corner.
you can scroll down. For as
You
you get,
know him. You
f-
love him. The musclehead himself.
as you guys get a few miles out, you can begin to pick up on what lies ahead.
It seems we've arrived. So if that army of yours works out.
You see the two towers. No, we're not fighting tonight, Corma.
Oh, come on!
It's getting late. We're not fighting tonight.
Gormon's ready to beat the shit out.
Goron fucking Naruto runs into them.
Gormon is ready to go.
Leroy Jenkins.
What you do see is that the two dragons that are there are actually held down by ropes on their feet, with the four orcs surrounding them. The ones on the towers are clearly surveying the area and watching out. So at this point, I need Bretta shall scout. So Bretta, roll perception. Would anybody like to aid her?
Sure.
That's a d20 up to 4. You guys can do it.
Fine. Yep. That is just asking for problems.
I helped.
Yay.
Doran trips, falls, lights the grass on fire. Oh, hey, guess what, guys?
The grass is too tall for Wallace. Oh my gosh, guys.
Sneezes, sets everything on
Oh my
fire.
god, this dice is.
So, Bretta, you at least pick up
Actually hurt.
I'm distracted.
on everything. You survey it to the group, and at this point, I need you guys to either. I guess you guys try to drop. I mean, the grass is tall. Like it's up to Bretta and Wallace's shoulder. Do you guys? What do you guys do? Do you try to hide? Do you? You just draw your weapons and get prepared to charge? Do you?
Well, we can't just charge the fortress on our own. We might need to think of another way around.
Just you got 50 kobolds against, and you guys against 2 dragons, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15 orcs.
Wallace looks at
I
Doran.
lied, 14.
Maybe
Can I
we
roll-
should make stealth teams.
All right.
Can I roll an intellect check
Sure.
to see if we even have a chance here? And I'll maybe a second one if I here's the intellect.
You're traveling with a man named Dragonfister. You have a chance.
Wow.
Oh my god.
All right. As you take note of what Bretta's told you, and you kind of look up towards the way. This, coupled with what you saw in the orb, just brings about this sense of dread over you.
Can I roll a nature check to
More so the
see
fact
if
that
I
what
find
you-
any good surroundings?
Yeah, 1 second. More so the fact that what you actually saw was her in there, peaceful, drinking tea, with all this sitting outside. Something is unsettling about this whole scenario to you. Go ahead, Wallace.
Sorry, by the way, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
His brain too big. He's thinking about too many things.
Okay, what were you looking for?
I was just trying to see anything that'll help us get behind them or aid us in any way. I know we're in a field, but any grass that looks a little bit taller or...
Well, for you and Bretta, thankfully the grass is pretty tall. Unfortunately for you guys, from the direction you're coming in, now the plan was solid. It's either coming through here or you had to go through the entire Orc City. So you guys are still in the better scenario here.
Okay, but...
But nothing-
Is there any grass that's taller
No.
to the point where, like... Is it over our heads, or...
Not really. The tallest it gets is to you and Bretta's shoulder, and it actually seems to thin out the farther you
Would
guys.
we get a stealth bonus?
You and Bretta would, yes.
Oh yes. Wallace, remember the tower? Totem? Wait.
I don't know if I can do all this while on this.
So. What do each of you do after all this? This has all been relayed amongst the group and detailed out. What does everybody wish to do?
Well, Wallace looks at Doran and says, maybe we should make stealth teams with our army,
I'm not
since the
stealthy.
grass is tall.
I love my mage general, but I don't think that stealth and kobold go together. No offense, mage general.
Not taken.
Something seems wrong. Something is wrong.
Do you want to see if me and Bretta can get closer?
God, we should just do this or not. Getting tired of sitting around here.
If you set off the alarms, I will burn you myself.
What about me? What about me, Dork? Can I set
I'm
up
the
the
one who snuck out of this city.
Then do you know any other ways in? Any other ways around?
I prefer to be announced and then take my fight on head on.
Any other ways that are slightly less
We
guarded?
could use him as a hostage.
I'm not
assume
going
that it's
back to your
probably
prisoner.
No,
Meanwhile, Cormon's just up in
Not
front
that
doing
they
his
care.
getting ready for battle routine, like flexing and stretching and
oil.
Lovek.
oil.
Hey, Ayla, start playing my my entrance music.
Fucking through the fire and the flames.
I need to get that uploaded so that if you do that particular thing, we have it.
Lovek, do you know of any other ways into the city? Ways around slave entrances that you'd work in?
I am
Anything that might
required
be
to.
less guarded than this? Running headfirst into a confrontation with two red dragons isn't, well, it isn't ideal.
I am required to roll something.
No, I just need to look at the map again real quick.
Sorry if I'm asking questions.
No, you're fine. You didn't escape through the back of the city. You actually escaped out the west, mostly because it was less guarded, seeing as there's another city right here, and the path that Lo took is kind of like this, and then up into the mountains until you got to the ruins.
So the west is less guarded, but we need to cut through the whole city to get to the main citadel.
Yes, and get past this,
Right.
or get down a cliff.
Neither of which sound preferable.
A much larger cliff, I should add.
Oh no.
It's okay though. You got a week to figure it out, guys.
Yay!
Feel
I love-
dogs, 'cause
I
we're
love
about to
how-
jump into the mouth of the beast. That's all I got.
Hey, Cormon, have you spent more on oil this week than you have your whole life?
You're all up.
Dude, I have a never-ending oil flask.
He does.
I spent more money on spilt liquor than you make in a year.
Okay, at this point, I do need a group stealth check.
Oh God, Major General, roll well.
Oh.
And this is,
We're all rolling stealth.
yes, it's not necessarily for hiding, it's more to see how hard you are to see.
Gorman, you're so swole.
Yeah, I'm the opposite of hard to see. I attract the eye of all around.
Quick,
He's
punch a tree.
listening, So,
The orc ladies with bows are like, oh.
whoops, not that.
Walls tries to pick him.
Oh, that's a 20. Fuck.
Sad dude.
You're 20.
Saving throws everywhere.
Oh, you're not gonna get another nat 20.
Oh my god.
Whoops, my gun went off.
Oh my god, the ghouls are more stealthy than you.
They can hide.
Okay. Overall, most of the group is pretty well out of sight. Despite that, in the distance, you hear some shouting, as well as
Shit. Says Elrod.
Dorn, I'm gonna need some pyrotechnics.
Frodo. Where's Frodo?
I
And-
know
Poor
that
Mom.
sound all too well.
Remember that special technique we've been working on? Fire Fist?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Wait, but the red dragons, don't they like fire?
Oh, shit.
you
Where's
hear
Sora when you need her?
the sound of horns and a rallying cry, but as you look, it doesn't seem to be coming from the orcs that are ahead of you.
Ah.
And you watch as from around the citadel, several dragons take off into the air with several orcs upon their back, and they head east.
Oh, thank you, Rowan.
And to emphasize that, they head this way.
What?
Well, good news, Elrod. They're not going after a woman.
After what?
After your woman.
That's good, I guess.
Heading back to the base.
Dawn, if I may. A moment.
Elrod.
He's gonna kind of like pull you aside, but he's not really talking quietly, just so everyone can hear him. When you saw that orb, what did you see? the orb up in the tower?
It was Cliffsdale. Peaceful, calm, and serene.
I saw my hometown complete with statues of your friend Ark.
Right. Well, one of the reasons this just feels wrong to me, something isn't right, is I saw Elvira. Big surprise, I know. And she was just sitting, drinking tea. She was fine. Nothing was wrong. Nothing at all. I'm kind of freaking out here.
Except for the fact she was sitting in an orc citadel.
Aside from the fact that she was sitting at an orcish table.
So you're saying that she's in that citadel having a tea party with our enemy?
I don't know.
You might have another half orc.
Please no.
Fucking Lorvek's dad is just an absolute, like, Chad.
Elrod's me so excited. He's like, "Oh boy, I'm gonna have my firstborn." It pops out. It's a half orc.
God, he's a Korma.
I don't know what it means, and it's messing with me. But you seem to know about omens and stuff.
Sure.
I don't know. I know I'm grasping at straws, but this is eating at me. This isn't the time to be eaten at.
I'm gonna roll a quick intelligence check because
Elrod's blinded by feelings, so he needs your intellect.
well, that's awful dangerous. Oh crap, that's not what I wanted at all.
That's a D10. One damage for Elrod. My feelings.
That's a 20 for intelligence.
You saw what you set out when you looked into that orb door, and you saw what you set out to achieve, which was Cliffsdale, at peace. No necromancers, no war, no nothing. Elrod's describing the woman that he's clearly in love with, but in a far more currently in the present scenario, whereas Cliffsdale's could either be the present, it could be the future, it could just be what you desire.
Fairly certain that your lady friend is in that citadel being brutally tortured, and the mirror was just showing you a kindness. Did that help?
Roll diplomacy.
I choose to fail.
No, that's between y'all. You don't have to roll diplomacy.
I'm just curious. That's a 27.
Against what? Insight?
Insight.
I'll roll it for fun. Yeah, you win.
You seem to calm him slightly, but you can actually feel the visible shake to his arms.
Right. Right.
Glad that I could bolster your confidence also.
I'm going to save that.
Exactly. So what we're going to do is we're going to go across that field, through the dragons, through the orcs, blow down the door, save your woman. Right?
Burn this whole citadel down.
Absolutely. Who's with me?
I am.
I always am.
He sounds like he's eating something all the time.
He's like,
This bubblegum is fantastic.
His bubblegum is fantastic.
At this point, there is no safe, sneaky way to get inside, at least none that I can see. So, we have to do what they least expect.
rush the gates. And now that their largest dragons are gone, hopefully we'll have a fort to return to. Either way, we're going to get Elvira out of there and slay that orc.
If they were not expecting this, they wouldn't post up a defense and their dragons here.
Well, to clarify, and Lo, this is something you know, they do train and tame and forcefully tame dragons out here behind the citadel.
I see they are. They cannot.
The more ruly dragons.
So this happens, and then the moment that Elrod starts running, everybody, Doran's like, okay, guys.
Hey,
And then, like, they teleport away.
nice.
Mass
And that
teleport.
is actually where we're ending tonight's session.
Oh, good. I was about to say, I need to go. I wake up in 4 hours.
Yes, that is it for tonight, guys.
Can I punch one dragon? Come on.
You can roll to punch. Go ahead.
We gotta do
I'm just fucking around.
We gotta appeal to the dragon's pride. We gotta get him to turn on the orc somehow.
So this is definitely one of those weeks where you guys can use the IC channel to plan. Y'all's
Where's the fun in that?
You just heard the plan. What we're gonna do is we're gonna run across that field.
and go for the hope for the best.
So, Flying Donkeys Part 2?
Time for